even the gold of Ophir as the stones of the brook. Today, when we preach, we take up the first three parts and then we just quote, I shall lay up gold as dust. No, sir, you shall not lay up gold as dust. You shall only lay up gold as dust when you acquaint yourself with him. You will lay up gold as dust when you do his will. You will lay up gold as dust when you depart from iniquity. The reason we preach and it looks like deception is because we don't show men their reality. Any teaching or any doctrine that takes responsibility away from you have set you up for futuristic destruction. You will be excited at it. After 5 years, your life will be on the same spot. You will now discover that you don't prosecute destiny on the frequency of emotion. Only obedience is potent enough to grant you the promises that God stated in scripture. There is a dimension that is superior to you trouble your brain. Your brain is too small to shape your destiny. Thank God for the certificate. Thank God for the knowledge. But only spirits make men. Go and find out from those who are made. They will tell you. All the billionaires in the world today, do you know the exercise they do? It's yoga meditation. and they will show up. They will say Microsoft. They are telling you they came from Harvard. Go and check their leisure. Yoga. They are trying to connect with spirits in the astral realm because they understand that all they are doing are inspiration. It came to them. Everything they are doing to get so much wealth, it came. And having worked for a long time, they have now discovered that there's a channel of accessing those spirits. So what they do are celestial meditations. They call it yoga. Some of them learn Tai Chi. They are finding the movement of the energy. And then you think it's exercise. Go to the West. New age is rising like wildfire now. New age. They are trying to connect to energy and knowledge that is beyond the physical realm. Most believers are not informed. A young man was cursed. His family, they were not prospering. He met one of the new agers. And the guy told him, is it a curse? Small thing, come. He took him and gave him a routine of meditation. When he taught him those meditations and those enchantments that they do, after 3 weeks, the guy, his spiritual elements were awoken. And the guy found himself in the spirit realm and uninstalled the curse. You think New Age is about reading a principle. It's about engaging spirits. In fact, these people also believe in Jesus, but they don't believe in him as Lord. They call Jesus the greatest grandmaster because they know there are many channels to that realm. You see, sometimes when we teach, especially teach young people, and we use words like awakening, words like energy, we are deliberate to let them know that these things that the New Agers are copying is kingdom, but they will teach you and remove Jesus. And you will now find it and say, man, I've discovered something superior to Christianity. There is a joke. See this falling under the anointing. They do it there. When they chant to a level and hum, the energy overwhelms them. And you'll find people falling down the way they fall in church. And so if you don't teach people that this is how spirits work. When Jesus comes into your life, he opens you up to his realm. That's why I say, except a man be born again, he can't see the kingdom. It's awakening. But when people are not taught this truth because they are young and impressionable, they hear somebody talk about energy, awakening, and all of those things. They think it's a new kind of knowledge. There's nothing new about it. They are copying what is in the kingdom and using other spirits to achieve it. But the key is to love God with all your heart. And that's why I began by telling you, we don't walk with God because of what he gives. We walk with him because of who he is. Because even if he stops giving today, we'll still walk with him. That's the proof that what we are doing is worship. And I can tell you that many believers have never worshipped God. And he said, if a man fears the Lord and delights in his commandment, he said he will not just be blessed. He said even his seed shall be mighty upon the earth. He said the generation of the upright shall be blessed. Go to the next verse. He said wealth and riches shall be in his house. Pleasures forevermore. God gives pleasure to those who love him. Many times they make us feel that for you to prosper you have to ignore God. No, the first spirit that prospers is God. Every other one learnt it from his courts. They say, I have not called the seed of Jacob to seek me in vain. When you seek him, something must happen. And so the first law of prosperity in the spirit is to love God with all your heart. And when you love God with all your heart, the sign is not an emotion. It's perfect obedience. And that obedience will be proven in your desire to do his will, in your hunger for his presence, and in your desire to put iniquity away. If these three things don't happen, your obedience is fake and your love for God is a charade. You know, sometimes when people hear this kind of message, they now begin to reason. That 15 million I made by duping somebody. What do I do now? You are a thief. You are what? A thief. If you want God to prosper you, number one, you will desist from that path. Some of them that are close with me are aware. A young man showed up from Lagos, and he's a Yahoo boy. He was programming somebody to transfer 700 million from his account. So while he rested to take a nap, he was on YouTube. So the reggae music he was hearing finished. A message now came up. And the message that came up, he saw a hunter walking from the wilderness. And the wars were raging. He was hearing it in his dream. He now woke up. He wanted to change it. The wars electrocuted him. So he was forced to stay there. And he was hearing. He was hearing. When he heard for a while, he started weeping. As he started weeping, he became afraid of death. He became afraid of hell. Immediately, he offed his two phones. Because he searched and they said, I'm in Makurdi. He offed all his phones and traveled to Makurdi. When he came, even his watch was a phone. His slippers, everything was wealth. He dupes people in millions. I said, well, the first thing we'll do is you will stop that occupation. For now, because you are not yet strong, you will cut off all your relationships. The guy said, yes. The energy of the message was on him. I said, well, because we have not proven your motive, I will take time to pray. And we'll also be sure that you are genuine. So stay for some time. So he stayed for 1 week. The hunger, I allowed him to experience hunger so that we can check whether he's willing to let go. The hunger that buffeted him, when he was coming on the 4th day, he started looking like me. I said, yes, we come from the wilderness. We are not slim because our DNA is slim. We have ruled hunger. We know the way of fasting. He was coming like this. He was an orator when he came. Now his speech was selected. I said, okay, we'll start foundation school now. That money too, you will return it. Everything the devil gave you, you will let it go. Else you are fake. So you will live that way. You will submit to God to be discipled, and you will let go of everything the devil gave you. If you are not yet ready, go and enjoy the world and enjoy it well. So that when you go to hell, you will come as a legitimate candidate of hellfire. But if it's God you are talking about, I told you last week that the spirit realm is what? A legalistic realm. They don't cut corners there. So you want to be genuinely prosperous and prosperous by God. This is the pathway. Remember, we are talking about what? Living in the world of no limit. And the reason we call it the world of no limit is because the one who is lifting you is God. And because there's no limit to God, there will be no limit to you. Do you understand? It's not human connection that is lifting you. God can use men to lift you up. He will lead you to some, he will lead some to you. I've seen senior people in this country, they ask for me. Some connect to me on Instagram, they send a message, this is who I am, please let's talk. Very senior people. Some have sent people who they see with me and say, call this person, I want to see him. And then there are some that God led me to. So God can use men, either taking you to them or putting a burden in their heart to call you to themselves. God can use men to lift you. But at the end of the day, God is the one lifting you. Even if your work with those people end, God will still be lifting you. That's why we call it a word of no limit, because The limitless one is the one bringing you to his realm. Do you understand? And the first way is that you will love him with your heart. Some of you that are in corridors of power, you will know the life of Daniel by experience. Because the king will come to you and say, bow before the idol. He will show you many people that came before you that bowed. And if you don't bow, you will be thrown to the lion's den. If you are not strong, you will bow. If you think that man is the one that will make you, you will bow. But if you know your prosperity is with God, you will never bow. And even if they reject you, it's better to go to Cave Adullam. Hope you know that most times when these things, you are being tried, God will not jump up and say, don't worry, I'm with you. David went to a cave and lived there for many years. God didn't show up. A point came, David began to pretend as a madman to survive in the camp of the Philistines, because that was the only place he could run to. King Saul had secured everywhere. Anywhere David go, they will kill him. Even the caves where David was hiding, Saul found it. So the only thing David could do was to be a madman for a season. You have not known what it means to stand with God. You stand with God, sometimes they will ridicule you. You will go to the lowest ebb of your life, and they will start using you as an example. There are some who even die standing with God. Hope you know, if you were in the generation of John the Baptist, they will say, yes, we said it. He claims that he's a prophet. Now he has been beheaded. And you don't have the opportunity to vindicate yourself. You will die in faith. But in heaven, you are a star. This is not taught to believers. So compromise is the order of the day. Compromise every quarter. You must love God with all your heart. If it means being rejected, you will still love him. If you have to act like a madman so that your enemies can't kill you, imagine if they chase you now. The only place left for you is Sambisa Forest. So you go and rub green stuff on your face, and you too will be acting like a terrorist so that you can survive. In case they see you, they should assume. That's what happened to David. That was killing the Philistines. The only place he had left was to live with them. So when they saw him, they said, no, he's mad, leave him. Let him suffer his fate. And when God eventually exalted him as a king, everybody wants the mantle of David, the Davidic mantle. And you don't know how to stand with God doggedly. Many people are waiting to thank God after he's blessed them. That's why they never get blessed. You don't wait to thank God after you are blessed. You thank God so that the blessings can flow in your direction. You are already blessed in Christ. Your thanksgiving activates that blessing. Look at the life of Jesus. When he came to the tomb of Lazarus, Lazarus was still dead. Lazarus was still in the tomb. Jesus wanted to activate something that was supernatural. And the only thing he did, in John 11, from verse 40, he lifted up his voice. And he said, I thank you, O Father, because you always hear me. And the moment he was done, he entered his breakthrough. Meanwhile, you are waiting for things to happen before you thank God. That's why they never happen. And I told you, you don't thank God to have. You don't have to thank God, rather, you thank God to what? To have. If you were going to, if you were to substitute your lamentation, daily lamentation, with thanksgiving, you will be shocked how supernaturally things will begin to happen in your life. Wake up with thanksgiving, sleep with thanksgiving. If you don't know how to thank God with songs, go and download them. Sing them and dance along. And when you are done singing, be thanking. The secret of living without limitation is thanksgiving. Many don't know this. That's why we have many people quoting scriptures. We have many people fasting. We have many people praying. Yet their life is tight. Because there's no thanksgiving there. When you thank God, when the result is not there, it's a testimony of faith. And God will see that and interpret it as faith. And the moment he sees it, things begin to happen. Find out from the men making great impact. They are thanksgivers. Not because things are working, but they make things work by thanksgiving. The poor man is waiting for everything to work before he thanks God. No, it doesn't work like that. Isaiah chapter 30 verse 19. He said, because they thank him, because they praise him, he said he will make them mighty. They will not be few. He will make them great. They will not be small. That's the word of no limit. So long as you keep thanking God, every limitation is withdrawn. These things look simple, but this is the secret of the mighty. The mysteries locked in these realities are not superlative when preached, but they are superlative when applied. You know, there are certain mysteries that sound strong when you preach them. There are certain other mysteries that their glory and excellency is demonstrated when you apply them. You will find how God will lift you from the pit, from the place of hopelessness, and stand you with kings, and your life will continually excel, and you will wonder how. We have a generation full of people who lament. And in the spirit realm, when you lament and murmur, God calls it an evil heart. That's why the people in the wilderness perished. God had already sworn that he will prosper them, he will take them to the promised land. Only 2 people made it, Joshua and Caleb, because the rest were murmurers. And as they murmured, God called it an evil heart. When you thank God, he calls it faith. When you murmur, he calls it an evil heart. And even if God made up his mind to bless you before, your murmuring will cause his spirit to withdraw. So whether you have, whether you don't have, whether what you have is little, just keep thanking God. While you are working hard, while you are going to your job, just keep thanking God. And you will be shocked what will happen to you. This is the culture of the ancients. That's why their lives was flooded with ever-increasing breakthroughs. And nobody is too young to thank God. Neither is anybody too old to thank God. If you are young, be excited and thank him. If you are old, do the same. Because you don't thank God because you are happy. You thank God because you are grateful. God causes the sun to shine both on the good and the evil. And it causes the rain to fall both on the righteous and the unrighteous. That is God's benevolence. So it doesn't matter whether you are righteous or wrong. Those are universal expressions of the love of God. And so what God did through Noah was to allow his love be with man, so that man will no longer be destroyed. Because if God does not activate this covenant, his anger will still destroy man. But he didn't want to destroy man again. So he gave a seal of the rainbow, that so long as you see the rainbow, know that my mercy is with humankind. And he now gave us a principle. Since we no longer have a relationship with him, he gave us a principle that seed time and harvest shall not cease. That means when a man gives, he will receive. Not because he has a relationship. God has already concluded that the man is evil. His imagination is evil. But he doesn't want to destroy the evil man. The only way he can get the man to survive and to subdue the earth and to dominate the earth is through a technology of giving and receiving. And so when a man is giving, he will be blessed. Not because God accepts the offering, but because God has decided to create a law that makes for this man to prosper even though he has no relationship with him. That was what God opened to humankind. Now there are 2 dimensions to this reality. The first is that Christians don't take advantage of it. And so when we are teaching and we want to encourage Christians, we let them know that if you don't take advantage of this position, the unbeliever will do it and prosper. And so if you want to prosper, it's important for you to take advantage of this position. If a politician gives, he will prosper. If a Yahoo person gives, he will prosper. If a thief gives, he will prosper. And you need to know that this giving is not just church. Because it's not only church you give to and prosper. The Bible says, he that giveth to the poor shall not lack. He didn't say God will bless him. So there are various kinds of giving. All of that was designed because God had seen humankind that the imagination of their heart is continually evil and it can no longer strive with them. So in order not to destroy the world again and for man to continually dominate the earth, let the man have a system that will preserve him until he comes into relationship. But now that he's not yet in relationship, he should prosper by this system. And so God created a plethora to make for the possibility of giving. And many people hear things like this and they will tell you that no, if a wicked man gives, it's an abomination. Do you know that the prayer of the wicked man is also an abomination? How did all of us get saved? Is it not by praying to God? So you don't pick scriptures and interpret it in an isolated context. The laws God gave through Noah is so that both good and evil will be preserved. But God didn't stop there. So the first side of this truth is that we encourage believers to do it. Because this law have no regard for whether you are righteous or unrighteous. So if you don't do it, you will pray but you'll still be poor. You will fast but you'll still be poor. Now the second dimension to this reality is the dimension of caution. Caution because if you teach only this, your church will become a carnal church. That's why today all our teaching on giving is give and it shall be given unto you. And the more people are giving, the more they are becoming carnal. Because we are assuming that because the people are giving, God accepts them. God doesn't accept you just because you gave. You can give and God doesn't accept you. And your offering, if you check it in the spirit, is rejected. I hope you've heard me say here many times that if a politician gives and we know he's a thief, we say take your money. If a thief gives, we say get out. God is interested in you first. Are you following me? But you need to understand that anybody that gives, it shall be given unto him. That's the law of the spirit realm. And you don't only give in church, you give to the poor, you give for societal development. All of that have their benefit. And God designed this because man is evil. Now, after God made this provision, God now moved to the Abrahamic covenant. The Abrahamic covenant also has giving because the lesser is included in the greater. But in the Abrahamic covenant, you don't just give and receive. In addition to your giving, there must be an element of faith. So God will accept your giving only if you believe in him. If you don't believe in him, he will not accept your giving. So God has come into the equation. Now, I'm not just interested in you prospering. I'm also interested in your person. And so I want you to know me and to believe in him. So when God was dealing with Abraham, even though Abraham was giving, what God was looking out for was what? The faith in Abraham's heart. And the way God sealed that covenant was through circumcision. That means he compelled Abraham to deny the world. This is why when the king of Sodom wanted to give Abraham all his possession, he said, I will not take a latchet from you, lest you say you made Abraham rich. So in the Abrahamic order, which is superior to the Noahic order, your giving must be predicated on faith and your circumcision to God. That means in the Abrahamic order, you can't be doing an unjust business and expect God to prosper you. For God to prosper you, you must be an honorable person doing an honorable job, because he's interested in how the money came before you gave in the first place. Are you following? At first it began with general benevolence, but the idea is to bring you closer. Remember, in 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 3, the Bible said he has given us all things that pertain to life and godliness through the knowledge of him that called us to what? To glory and virtue. And he said he made us to become partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. And so if we are teaching giving in church now, we will not only stop at the level of Noah, but we shift it to the level of Abraham, that you have to have faith in God, because you can give and not be blessed. Somebody met me and was lamenting. Why was he lamenting? He said he gave 1 million in church. They preached a message, he gave 1 million naira. 4 years later, he lost all his money. So he was wondering, how can he get his money back? Because they taught him giving from the standpoint of Noah. Give, it shall be given unto you. They didn't teach him that now he has come a bit higher, that when he gives, God is looking for his faith. If the faith element is not there, he won't be blessed. And God is also looking for his circumcision from the world. You can't be doing evil and still give and think God will prosper you. He won't. And the reason is because the moment you accepted Jesus, you implicated yourself. You have come into a higher relationship with God. If you didn't